Moving you, I'm moving you, I'm moving you. All right, there we go. Good evening, everybody. Oh my goodness. It's been a busy week. Take this out, put this on. My mouth apparatus. I have to chew gum. And my husband bought me lots of packs of gum because the medication I take makes my mouth very dry. And I have found a what I found. I'm so happy I found it. It's been working. Um, Wild yam root helps me with my hot flashes. I'm happy. My husband's happy. It helps me with the hot flashes, the mood swings, all the crankiness. It just helps with, it helps. So I am not taking that hormone replacement that my doctor had me on with the fear of the C word. I'm not even going to say it, but the fear of it. I will not. I will not. I got other things to do, okay? Other elements to fight off other than that C word. So I will not. So if I have to have dry mouth, I will have dry mouth and I will take my medication until something else is found. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Trap Lounge. My name is Kimble Evans. I am your trap therapist. I am not going to be before you long. Tonight is kind of like a recap of a topic that I had talked about probably two months ago when crisis hit. I just wanted to reinnovate about a crisis because we've probably had some crises since 2 months ago. Um, Knowing how to process it, knowing what it is when you're going through it, you still might be in it. How to seek help, how to talk about it, and how to work yourself through the crisis. And what basic life skills are faltering when you're in that crisis. You may not see it. You may not feel like nothing's faltering or something's wavering or falling to the side, but something is. And it may be something of importance. And so when you get out of that crisis and you're in that honeymoon stage, you're feeling better, you're getting support, you'll notice that something is kind of not balanced. And then you'll have to get that thing back together. So before I talk about that, let's get into mid our mood check, our midweek mood check. So again, this week I put up there that I was doing great. I am. I'm doing great. I will be even doing better this Saturday because it's going to be a do nothing Saturday. My husband just looked at me like, yeah, yeah. It has been a jam packed week. I hate when it's a slow connection. I don't like that. I don't like that. But it's been a jam packed week for me and for him. And I told him Friday when we went to go chaperone my grandson's pool party that he had. I'm sorry that you married somebody that does a lot of things because your wife is busy. But the thing I like about my husband is he calms that busyness down. I will try to do so many things within a day. If I can fly to the moon and back, if they told me if it was possible and come back and do something, I would do it. I never tell people no if I'm able to do something, talk somewhere, speak somewhere, cook somewhere, do something. I'm there. I serve. That's what I'm here for. I serve. I serve. I serve. I love serving. I love going to community outings and things like that. But my husband will say, "Babe, you can't do all of that in one day." First of all, he's like, "I'm tired," and then I'm like, "I'm not tired." And when I get home, I'm not eating. I'm not sleeping. When he has to tend to all those needs. So I love my husband when he say, "I'm not doing nothing," because he's always with me at all these events I go to, church events, when I do my pop-up shops, when I'm out looking for event places for me to look at. When I'm anywhere I'm at, my husband's at. He's with me. So when he was like, "Listen, Saturday," I'm not doing nothing. That meant I and you. You're not doing nothing. I immediately looked at my phone. I didn't have anything in here for Saturday, so I was happy because I didn't want to reschedule anything. So I just put nothing Saturday. So we're not going to be doing anything on Saturday. And I did tell him Sunday, um, Pastor Wright, if you on, please leave your information. And Pastor Wright is, I believe, celebrating 30 years of pastoral pastoring, where he is, and they're going to be celebrating him this Sunday, and we would like to attend that celebration on Sunday. I believe it's going to be at 12 o'clock, so we will be out doing that. And he said, I don't mind that. That's church. So Saturday is nothing Saturday for us. He's still shaking his head like, yeah. So our mental health check-in, I put that I'm doing great. Got our checks and balances in check for activities for Saturday, and this week is going as smoothly as possible. So if you're doing great, put a red emoji heart up there. If you're doing okay, put a blue emoji heart up there. If you're in the meh, put a yellow emoji heart up there. If things are tough and you're struggling, put a green emoji heart up there. I will reach out to you. I will talk to you after the airing of this broadcast. If you're having a hard time and wouldn't mind if someone was to reach out to you, I will also reach out to you. Please inbox me. Please inbox me. Please inbox me. If you're in a really dark place, put that broken heart out there, and I will reach out to you as well. Even if you just want to reach out to me, inbox me. Inbox me. I will contact you back. I will contact you back. Trust me, I will contact you back. If you're having some harmony and balance in your life, put that pink emoji heart up there. If you're feeling optimistic and uplifting, put that orange emoji heart up there. If you're feeling kind of poopy with the poopy emoji heart, sometimes we feel that way, put that brown emoji heart up there. If you're having some mixed feelings, emotions, you're blank, some innocence, just want to do barely the bare minimum for the week, put that white emoji heart up there. If you're feeling cool and self-restraint, put that gray emoji heart up there. And Miss Carla, I see you put all those light blue emojis heart up there, so you're feeling relaxing and friendly this week. That's awesome. Hey, Sister Stephanie, I'm glad you're doing great. She put those red emoji heart up there. And if you're having some sadness and anger during this Wednesday, put that black emoji heart up there, and we can process these feelings. This is a great way for you to have conversations with your loved ones. Sometimes people don't like to talk about anything, even with your children. I can put different emoji things that I have up here for kids and within the age range, toddlers, the teenagers. Before all these emojis, hearts and stuff that start coming out, we had the faces, right? The sad face, the angry face. We had all those things. So this is a great way for you to communicate with your people. There's a group of people that I text every morning just to make sure everybody's okay. And my husband was saying, because some people don't text me back, and I still text them every morning. And if a week go past and they don't text me back, I'll call them. Like, what's going on? I text you every morning. What you doing? How you feeling? Shout out to my little sister. She went back to work today. Some things are kind of, I won't say getting normalized for her. We laid our mother to rest about almost a month ago. So she's going back to work. And I had to call her because she was one of those people I was texting and there was no answer, but I knew why. But you have to sometimes give people their space. Hey, best friend. Hey, Miss Debberg. You have to give people their space and let them go through some things and process. Even if you want to reach out, sometimes it's good to let them have that silent space. You don't want to overburden that person. And sometimes asking them every single day, are you okay? If you need something, it overbears them because they're not okay. They don't have an answer. They just give them that space. And I was happy and able to give her that space. And I was glad when she texted me that she couldn't talk to me on the phone because she was back at. So tonight is going to be kind of basic, right? When a crisis hit. Now, a crisis. Let me see if I got. I did. I got some definition for a crisis. I start taking this thing to another level, and I wanted to make sure I was going where I wanted to go with this. So me and my husband was talking about it. So when I was discussing a crisis, I think this was 3 months ago, maybe three months ago. A ship boat had hit a bridge near Baltimore or something like that. There was a major crisis. We lost some lives. Some importing and exporting couldn't happen, and I think they're still over there and with that bridge now, still trying to get that thing together. It's going to take a long while for that bridge to be repaired. The resources, the money for it, things of that nature, and they're still looking for the people that they lost out there in sea. So there's still bodies that they haven't recovered. So that's a crisis. But a crisis that I have here now is a situation that is difficult or dangerous or a difficult financial situation. Now we're all right now are teeter-tottering on that financial situation. A lot of people have not had a raise in 3 years. Cost of living is still going up, or especially in Pennsylvania. New Jersey, so the tri-state area, Pennsylvania, Jersey, Delaware, New Jersey, Delaware, y'all got a little spoof. Y'all got a little poof of a raise. Pennsylvania, minimum wage is still iffy. It's still iffy. Some places will hit you up with $12, maybe $15, depending on whatever. But when I'm saying financial crisis, is your medical included in that? How good is your medical, right? Because even if you have a $12 to $15 an hour job, what is that medical package that you're paying? Really talk to me. What does that medical package look like that you're paying? And then the prescription drugs that we have to buy, right? So your bills is being eaten up before you even get your check, right? Sometimes you say you got to rob Paul to pay Peter. Remember, my grandma said that a lot. You can't make ends meet. So it's a lot of people are right now going through that difficult financial situation. So a crisis is a state of feeling an internal experience of confusion and anxiety to the degree that formerly successfully coping mechanisms are ineffective. Decisions and behaviors take their place. As a result, the person in crisis may feel confused, vulnerable, anxious, afraid, angry, guilty, hopeless, and helpless. Has anybody been there yet? The internal experience of confusion and anxiety. Now, there's a lot of people right now that their loved ones are missing. Lots of people. Lots of people. I share. That's what I'm saying. Personalize this. If you've been in a state where you've been in some sort of crisis, losing your wallet, all your information is inside there, your driver's license, your credit card, all your information is inside this wallet. That becomes a crisis to you because you got to call the bank. You got to make sure you turn everything off. Then you have to go get more ID. You have to take off work for that. So now, if you got a personal day, you may have a personal day. You may not have a personal day. You may not have all these things come stirring up into you at one time. Are you quick enough to even go to your bank and tell them to shut off everything? Because sometimes people go to the gas station and they run that gas scam, right? So this thing can happen in an instant. I was telling my husband the other day, he was driving the car, and this happens a lot in Philly. This happens a lot in Philly. I'm from Philly, so I know it happens a lot from Philly. They do a lot of rolling stops. A lot of rolling stops. I'm sorry, I'm from Philly. I said it. Y'all don't stop at the stop sign correctly. Y'all don't. And I was like, babe, you better stop that car at the stop sign, Philly. And he's like, huh? He's from Virginia, so he should know better, right? Because down there they drive slow. And I was like, stop the car at the stop sign, a full stop. And so the next time he stopped the car at the stop sign, a full stop, and he seen this car it didn't stop. It did not stop at the stop sign. And so I told him, imagine if we wouldn't have stopped fully, that car would have hit us. Imagine that. how we divert these so-called things for seen and unseen, right? What what can trigger a crisis? Stress, a stressful life event, major life transitions, trauma, you know, that physical health issues, substance use, social media. That's a new one. That's a new one. Social media can trigger a crisis. Isolation and loneliness. We figured that out when we had COVID. Right? We had to all be in a house at a single time. And right now, Philadelphia, I believe, is going through a crisis with Mayor Parker telling everybody that since Philadelphia workers that you have to go back into the offices. A lot of families had gotten acclimated with staying at home. Their kids are being homeschooled. They're acclimated with staying at home. And now they're in a crisis. They had to be back in the offices by July 15th, I believe. July 15th, all city workers had to be back in the office. So she gave out this plan way before. I think they had an arbitration for a little while, and then it hit. They lost, and we had to go back in. Well, not wait, because I've always been in the office. But imagine those families that had this routine now, and they got snatched from them. Now they had to go back into the office. Imagine that anxiety. Imagine the stress from a routine to, oh my God, I got to go right back into the office. Do I catch the bus? Do I carpool? Do I, what happens? And if I was the person that helped my children with schooling from this time to this time, what happens? Hey, Chloe, what's going on? And again, financial difficulties. Financial difficulties. Now, I was telling my husband when I was talking about a crisis. Right now, I'm really seeing a lot of people with difficulty transitioning from things. I know from my profession, people going from inpatient to outpatient. So you're inpatient, you may have went in due to having a mental health crisis. You're inpatient, you get treated inpatient, and then after a while, that crisis has decreased, and now you're fit for outpatient services. But the person never goes to outpatient services. And they're not in crisis. Now their loved one is in crisis, that they're either living with, their significant other, now they're in crisis because now they may be not taking their medications properly. They may be going back to their old ways. And now you're again, everything is off balance. So they feel fine. They went to inpatient, they got themselves together, whatever medication they were on, they feel fine. And their family like, you need to do what your paperwork said, this paperwork said, and go to outpatient. And like, I don't need outpatient, I don't need that. It's a crisis. You're not following the doctor's orders, right? Even with someone that's going from incarceration to, what do they call it, the halfway house. There's still some discipline and rules that you have to follow when you're in a halfway house, to probation. And then when they finally on their own, they finish with the halfway house, they may still have probation, they still have post-prison adjustment. I'll get to that in a minute. Now you're probably wondering, how long does a crisis last? The duration varies, depends on person to person. The experience, and from experience to experience, some people, on occasions, it may last just a few hours. For others, other times it can last for a few days or a few weeks. What happens to your body in a crisis? And this is something that you can't see. This is something that you might can feel. You may can feel it. What happens to your body in a crisis, your stress hormones are circulating throughout your body. You might feel tense or twitching like in your muscles. It's like you're about to move at any given time, any given moment. It might feel like your bladder is being affected, like you're having those nervousness. Some people call it the heebie-jeebies, the butterflies in the stomach. Some people have impulsive reactions. They can't sit down. They got to keep moving. They got to keep moving. That's some people when they having the anxiousness. Um, um, they'll call it the fear of the unknown. Their pulse is rapidly going up. Their heart is beating fast. The paranoia. You might have somebody that's having a psychosis a moment. They're hearing or seeing things. They might be saying, someone's watching me. Don't you see that person outside? And they may have had some trauma in their life. So they may have had a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress. I know a good friend of mine. They were diagnosed with PTSD, and they had some trauma. They had some trauma. They were a victim of being shot. They were a victim of being stabbed. They were in a gang. And sometimes they had those flashbacks. If a certain car rode up the block a certain way, they would look. They always carried their gun on them. They never felt safe even in their neighborhood. They just had these, these fears. Whatever I did out there, even though I'm safe now or I'm clean now, I'm living my life now, right? It's going to come back to get me because somebody already tried to kill me twice. They were always on edge. That's a crisis every single day for them. Every single day, being on edge. So if they on a bus and somebody gets into an argument, they looking to see if they, if they being set up. My husband, every time before we leave the house, he makes sure the door is locked. When we get in the car, our car automatically locks once you pull off. If it ain't locking fast enough, he'll push the lock button. He's very cautious about his surroundings. And I remember I was telling this story that I was real angry with him at one point in time for him always, trying to check on me. Let me know when you get in the car, when you get off work. Let me know when you get close to the house. I'll meet you outside so I can walk you from your car. And I was telling him, like, I'm not a child. Like, let me do these things on my own. I can get around fine. I can protect myself. And then once all these people, young, old, elderly, men, started coming up missing, I had to recheck myself. I had to really recheck myself. And it was matter of fact, it was I think this was last year though. It was on the news. A younger male was pulling women in alleys and trying to rape them. And it was on TV. And this was like closely in my neighborhood. And my husband was just looking at me. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And he's like, this is why I don't want you to walk the dogs, in the morning. I don't want you to walk the dogs at night. I'll do that stuff. And so when people start turning up missing, and I did a live on that, sex trafficking and people turning up on missing, and a guy had actually did a video. He was at a gas station, and he heard some banging on a truck, a box truck. I don't know if it was a U-Haul truck, but it was a box truck, and he heard some banging. And so he felt suspicious. He called the police. And the police got there in enough time to, they stopped the truck some miles down the road. When the police told the people that was in the truck that were driving the truck to open the truck was filled with a bunch of kids. A bunch of kids was in this truck. And the man said, I knew something was not right. So I had to swallow my pride and tell my husband, thank you. Thank you. Because he was looking out for my best interests. Not to say that, because sometimes in my mind, because my grandma used to just think the worst about everything. If it rains, it's going to be a tornado today. You better carry something with you. I'm like, grandma, it's just going to rain. She talking about tornadoes and stuff. My grandma used to think the worst about everything, which would make you afraid to live or to be out. But I had to come home and tell my husband, thank you. You had my best interest at heart. So now when he like, well, where you at? It still frustrates me a little bit. It does. But I'm like, I'm right around the corner. I'm pulling up right now. And if he see a parking spot, my husband will like, it's a parking spot right in front of the house. Y'all know I need to lose some weight. So I'm like, I can park down the street and just walk up. He'd be like, no, it's a parking spot in front of the house. Listen, I can park my car midway down the block because we live on a long block. We live from the 300 all the way down to the 2. Yeah, to the 2. I'm in the middle. We're at the 400. In the morning, if I park my car down near the 300 in the morning, my car is right in the middle, right in front of my door. My husband moves the car in front of the door. He doesn't want me to be in a situation like that. Let me get back to where I was. So I remember I'm talking about languages before, and I was talking about a nervous breakdown. And a nervous breakdown is not considered a medical diagnosis, but we use that term. A lot of people of color use that term, and we know what it is. So a nervous breakdown is a mental health crisis, a stressful time in someone's life when it becomes physically, emotionally overwhelming, very overwhelming. When stress and feelings of worry or anxiety are there all the time, and it builds up to a level that affects a person's daily life. That's that nervous breakdown. It's just not something that happens once or twice. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. And that thing is eating at you. It's a cycle. That's that nervous breakdown. That can be dealing with, again, financial. Sometimes you're later short on your rent or your mortgage. And if you're later short on your rent and your mortgage, you have a late fee. So it feels like you're never going to catch up. You have to pay other bills. And if you have younger children, they're growing. So you have to keep buying shoes, and they always need something. So you're always feeling like you're catching up. You're catching up. You're catching up. And the more overtime you do, you're never going to get where you want to be. You tired, but you still got to keep going. That's an overwhelming feeling. It's an overwhelming feeling. I got these bills to pay, and I'm never going to catch up. And sometimes you do too much overtime, and the IRS will snatch that money. You're like, oh my goodness, I just did all this overtime. You see how much Uncle Sam just took out of my paycheck? I'm shouting out to Maya Lynn because she do overtime. She don't do but so much. She works for the state. She ain't gonna do but so much because they take so much out of your check when you do that much overtime. So you got the financial part about it. You got the rent, the mortgage, you got your food, you got bills, you got the kids. Things happen. I'll give that example with my daughter. I always taught them to have a rainy day fund. When something happens, make sure you have that rainy day fund. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, called me. She was distraught, and I'm like, "What's going on?" I'm thinking something happened at work. I'm thinking something happened with her boyfriend. She was like, "Mom, I'm just so tired. I don't want to be an adult no more." And I'm like, "Well, you about to be 25. So this she's about to be 26 now." I was like, "What's going on?" She said, "Everything keeps happening, like with school, with work." She was in her own apartment, like things are happening. She had adults, so she had all these responsibilities, and her car. Something happened with her car. She has a Kia, so they broke in her car, and they tore up her steering wheel, something else, and She had to pay a deductible or something. I'm like, well, don't you have your rainy day fund? She said, Mom, it's been raining every day. I'm like, I'm so sorry, baby. So I was like, I can help you out, whatever you need, because my kids don't ask me for anything. So for her, she was so overwhelmed, so overwhelmed. So I told her just to come over and let's sit down and make a plan. Sometimes, again, and that's what happens. That's a part of my 9-step program under the Cottage House. Sitting down individually with someone and going over the services when you're in a mental health crisis that is your weakness that falters. And when I say falters, it's like those basic the basic those basic life skills like communication skills, critical thinking, evaluating and analyzing, decision making, time management, problem solving, um, money management, independent living skills, community involvement. Trying to make sure I interpersonal skills and development. All some of these things fall at the wayside. I'll give you an example. Like, so if you're going through a mental health crisis and you're someone that has depression, and for depression, you have to have that depression for more than 2 weeks in overtime. 2 weeks or more. So you stop. You stop doing things. You stop doing your regular daily living. You stop. You don't have any motivation. You lack the energy to do anything. The negative thoughts just keep creeping up. You're a failure. All these things keep happening to you. You go back to your childhood memories of your mom saying you would never be anything, and you just shut down. So when you shut down, nothing gets done. Laundry, food shopping, taking care of home, the kids, even yourself. You're not taking care of yourself. Life is still going on, and nothing gets done. Now your house is taking care of itself. Your kids are taking care of themselves because they're self-sufficient. You're a good parent, so they can take care of themselves to be self-sufficient. Then if you have little ones, your older ones is going to help take care of them. And once you get through that crisis, now you have to come back and start going back to, okay, I didn't pay my rent. How am I going to be able to do that? You have to have a plan. I got to get myself back to integrating myself into my kids' school. How am I going to be able to do that? Time management. Going back to therapy, incorporating that back into your schedule. It takes a lot. When you miss something and you have to put yourself back into a schedule, or it's new to you, going to therapy and integrating that into your time with your family. Sometimes you have to sit down, and I always tell people, get your phone, and go to your calendar and put those things in there. Because as much as we pick up our phone, as much as we're on our phone, you'll have a notification, doctor's appointment for your daughter tomorrow at 2:00. And some 15 minutes before 2:00 tomorrow, the 15th, it'll pop up on your phone. Our phones do more than Snapchat, call us, all those things. Our phones are so dynamic, it helps us, even our smartwatches. Check your blood pressure. Can send a text message real quick. These things help us, but we need to utilize them so they can help us when we can't help ourselves. If you program for 6 months in your phone, if you're in that crisis, it can help you get out of it. So on a 988 line, if you wanted to do a safety plan to help you when you're having those dark thoughts, the suicidal thoughts, we'll do a safety plan with you, and we'll send it right to your phone via email. You'll have it on your phone. Understand what I'm saying? So let's go to these basic life skills. Let's start with communication, because communication, and yeah, I have a little bit of time. Communication is the number one thing when you're going through a crisis. Sometimes we shut down, we don't say anything, but people observe and see. And see, sometimes when people observe and see, it's too late. You're already spiraling. And sometimes if it's something that happens and over again, the people that's your support should step in before that spiral gets all the way down to that rabbit hole like Alice in Wonderland. They should know something's wrong. My daughter's really messy. My oldest daughter, that's just her. She know her chaos. She can come out of her room dressed like $1,000,000. I'm like, Dad, where you get that dress and shoes from? I couldn't find that in your room. She knows her own kid. She knows her own chaos. I can't go in there and find anything. To me, it looks trashy. She knows her own chaos. But she also knows when her chaos is too much. And she'll say, I need help. And for me, my husband will know when I'm like, he's like, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. He don't say it that sweet. Kind of get a little big bass in his voice. But when he get there, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of us, a lot of women, Deborah Burke says she won't ask for help. A lot of women do that because we have to carry so much. I was telling my husband, my grandmother raised me as being domesticated. We were raised as being domesticated. We must take care of our house. We must take care of our children. We must. Even if we don't feel like it, even if we don't feel good, even if we don't feel sad, we must. And we're so drained and we're so tired. And we won't ask for help. It's the same thing with the men that they won't cry. They won't show emotion. Won't ask for help. I think I said the story one time when my second marriage was crumbling, and I was bringing groceries in the house. I had like 4 or 5 bags in one hand and probably 6 bags in the other. And my oldest daughter was in the kitchen, and I came in, and she was getting something out the refrigerator, and I just dropped all the bags down. And I was like, this don't make no sense. Ain't nobody helping me do nothing. And she turned around, she said, Mom, well, ain't nobody know you needed help. You didn't say anything. My kids know that I never cry. They know I love hugs. And so all she did was hold out her arms and she hugged me. And I start crying. She said, Mom, do you need help? I was like, yes, I need help. She looked me in my eyes and she said, what do you need help with? We will help you. You can't do everything by yourself. That day we had a conversation. And I see my kids, they were in their, I can say pre-adult, but they were adults. And this is when I see my kids as women. Some mothers don't see their kids. They always want to see them as children because they're their children. I see my kids as women, both my daughters as women. They still my babies. They still my babies. But I seen them as women that can support me, that I can ask for help and not seem weak as a mother, as a friend. Because remember, my mom used to tell me, I'm not your little friend. I ain't your little friend. And my youngest daughter turned that around on me one day. Was like, Mom, ain't you glad that I'm your friend? I was like, yeah, baby girl, I'm glad you're my friend. She said, because remember back in the day, you used to tell me I'm not your little, and we laughed about it. So that us not asking for help will send you in that crisis for no reason. You don't have to be there. And this is with anybody of color. We are so hard on doing it ourselves. And this is why I have these crisis talks every quarter, because we can't do it all. We can't. If you don't have a good foundation of support and knowledge and then practice this thing, you're always going to be in that spiral. Who wants to be in a crisis all the time? Who wants to have those impulsive feelings all the time? Who wants to feel alone all the time? Now, some days I do feel sad. I feel sad. I just some days I feel sad. If I'm thinking about my daddy, I feel sad. If I'm thinking about my sisters, I feel sad. If my husband's talking to me about something in his past, I feel sad. But you know what we do? We pray. He'll tell me a joke and we laugh. I talk to my kids, I'll have a conversation with them, and we know how to get each other going. We support each other. Even my grandson, he just turned 13. Even my grandson, he has his days. But let's get back to these basic life skills that you want to need if you're in a crisis, if you see someone in a crisis. Again, communication is the number one thing that we need to see. You need to have. You need to understand this. Sending and receiving messages through verbal and nonverbal means, like speech or writing. So you know your spouse, you know your significant other, you know your brother, you know your coworker. If they're talkative and they stop being talkative, what's going on? Something's wrong. If you see a person that's always nice and neat and they look disheveled, something's wrong. That's a non-communication. Like, you know, John, you know, he used to be dapper. What's going on? Where he got a wrinkled shirt on? The next day he got pants on that's kind of wrinkled. And he ain't saying nothing. You know, he cool and suave. Every day he got a little smooth stuff to say with you to you at the printer, and you know, little you at the water cooler. He ain't saying nothing. His pants wrinkled. They ain't like John. Something's going on. When we say those cool lines, it's okay not to be okay. But are you checking in really? Are you checking in really? Is it okay? Some people are like, you know, I don't really want to check in because I can't help them. Or it ain't my business. And then when you see John on TV, he done jumped off, you know, in front of a bus. Damn, that was John. My God, I didn't even know he was going through that. And now your mind is going. That affects you. That affects everybody at work, or that affects everybody in the community, on a block. Even the people that he probably, you know, in the parking lot that he parked next to every day, or at the coffee shop, or on the bus stop. It affects people. Debbie, I'm gonna punch you so hard. I know you put on a mask. I'm gonna take it. Everybody does that. The putting on a mask, and again, you have to call me. You have to have And I like this about my girl Shalay. She said you have to have, I think she said 3 people. I gotta bring her back on 3 people. You have to have a prayer partner, a person that's who you want to call to talk to you about some things, and your friend. All those are valuable people. My bestie better know one day if I call her and I'm like, girl, she got her listening ears on, and I'm just running my mouth. I'm running my mouth. God don't like the complaining and the babbling. And my bestie gonna like, Kimble, you know what? You was wrong. I'm like, what? You was wrong. And it brings me right back. If you don't have nobody that you can share your intimate secrets with, you can talk to about something that you can't tell anybody but that one person, you can talk to God because he'll talk back to you. He'll give you advice. He'll loose you of that vice, whatever that is. But he had us so we can commune with one another, so we can help one another, so that burden would not be so heavy for one another. I hear so many people say, I don't got nobody. You don't have nobody? Not an aunt, as a cousin or uncle. I don't have nobody. And the second thing I say is, well, 988 is a 24-hour hotline. You can call here anytime. Holidays, weekends, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Anytime. A crisis counselor will be here to talk to you. And then I asked them, if you had a 3-alarm fire, you had to break a glass, think of a person that you can call that you can ask for help. Is it somebody? I use my 2 sisters as mine. If I need some money, and I don't just mean $5, $10, $20, nothing like that. Nothing like that. I got that. I got that. I tell my husband, we ain't supposed to be broke at the same time. We ain't supposed to be broke. I shouldn't be broke and you be broke. That ain't possible with money coming in this house. We shouldn't be broke at the same time. I'm talking about if I need some money, I'm gonna call one of my sisters. Yo, I need to borrow such and such. One might say I got half. Call the other one. But my two supports is on here now. And without a shadow of a doubt, I'm gonna have cell phones if something happened to me. Praise God. I'm at the bury they said phones. Now, one thing that we need to have is critical thinking. You need to have critical thinking. Interpreting and evaluating and analyzing facts and information to form a judgment. You must, you must, you must, you must have critical thinking. This is a basic life skill you must have when you're in a crisis. And I say this because the person that you're helping out in the crisis has lost that critical thinking. All reasoning is out of the door. If somebody hurt my babies, all reasoning is out the door. One's 28, one's about to be 26. My son, all reasoning, and now my 13-year-old upstairs, all reasoning is out the door. It happened, what, 4 months ago? It happened 4 months ago. Somebody came here, threw my daughter plants all over the outside. And I'm like, what is going on out here? And I will tell you the truth. I'm gonna have to wrap this up. I'll go over decision making, time management, empathy, and problem solving next week. That's no problem. Tell you this quick story. Go outside and everything is all thrown all over the porch, dirt and stuff everywhere. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? Don't have no drama in my house. No kids, no drama. Nobody, don't come here, no drama. And I say, well, whoever did this was mad. Whoever did this was really mad. And so I come out there and I'm cleaning everything up. And in my mind, I'm thinking about who would do something like this. And I'm sorry. First thing came to my mind was if it was a woman for my husband, I'm gonna beat him up. I ain't gonna beat her up. She ain't say I did. He said I do. He put the marriage vows to me. So I'm sweeping the dirt, take my phone out of my pocket, and I call my husband. Went straight to voicemail. So I know he working on a project somewhere in the community. Go straight to voicemail. I ain't need no message. And I called my daughter. I said, Wasima, something happened around here. Do you have beef with some girl or something like that? She like, no, mom. I said, well, do you have any problems with any guy that you're dating? She said, Mom, I'm not dating no guy. I said, okay. She said, well, what happened? I said, somebody done threw the plants and stuff all over the street and they broke the glass on the porch. And she like, really? I'm like, yeah. So I go back in the house and get the dustpan and get everything back up. And as I'm going down the steps, a young lady is walking down the street and she's mumbling. And I'm like, excuse me, did you just throw the stuff off my porch? And she was like, yeah, I did. I'm looking for your daughter. Why see? And she said, when I find her, I'm a killer. I lost all critical thinking. I lost it all. Can imagine what I did after that. Tell me. You could imagine what I did after. I attacked that lady. I attacked that young lady. We was tussling, honey. We was tussling. My neighbors came out. Him and his girlfriend came out. We was on somebody's lawn, just listen, tussling. They got her and they got me. But the look she gave, she wasn't there. She walked down the street. They asked me, was I okay? Blood on my shirt or something. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm like, where my earpods at? My earpods was out my ear. My chain had pops. My daddy stuff on there. And I'm sorry, y'all. I am a white woman in a black girl's body. I called the police. I sure did because I need a paper trail. Because if you come back to my house, they dragging your body, and I ain't got no charges on me. Sorry. I said it. I'm on live. I said it. That's how things work. Okay. So immediately, my husband called me back and told him what happened. He's like, well, I don't know what's going on and whatever. And he said, well, I'm coming home. I said, you don't need to come home. It was a female. I said, you don't need to come home. It was a female. Don't even worry about none of that. My daughter's wrecking her mind about what happened. She has no idea. Then my youngest daughter come over and she's like, Mom, you okay? I said, girl, I'm so tired. I haven't had a fight in years. The police came. They like, you sure you're okay, ma'am? I said, I'm tired. I was out of breath. And I had some scratches on my neck here. She pulled some of my locks out. In the office, like, you sure you don't need? I said, sir, I'm fine. I'm fine. Just so you gave me a police report or whatever. And we're still trying to think of who this person is. So my daughter comes home and she goes through her friends or whatever on social media and she picks the person out. And I said, that's her. Long story short, she was going through a mental health crisis, guys. She was going through a mental health crisis. And when I found that out, I felt so bad. for how I reacted. Um, in that instance, I felt as though she was threatening my family. Um, I was trying to get in contact with this young lady for a long time. I sent my daughter to her house. I couldn't go to her house because if I'd have went to her house, she would have thought that she was in danger. So I sent my daughter to her house to see was she okay. We couldn't find her for like almost 2 months. Couldn't find her for 2 months. And one day I came home and my daughter said, "Mom, there's somebody here to see you." And this young lady comes down the steps, and all I did was hug her. I hugged her so tight. I said, "I've been praying for you. I've been thinking about you for so long." And all she kept doing was saying, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Don't worry about it." I said, "Listen, anytime you need help, anytime you want to talk, come here. I am here. You're welcome to come here anytime." And she came and she gave us one of her plants, and we've been nursing that plant ever since then. So you never know um who is going through what. Friends, family, neighbors, bus drivers, people at the gas station. You never know out in the street who's going through what if it's a mental health crisis. I have put this out there many of times. Um, there is mental health first aid. It's a free class. Yes, it takes up almost 8 hours of your day, but it is a free class. If anyone wants to take that mental health first aid, I can either leave the link for you to go and take the class on your own, or have a group of people come together and take the class together. I need 15 people to do that. If you want to do it individualized, I can leave the link in the comments section after this. Or if you want to do it as a group, as a whole, I need at least 15 people to sign up for that mental health first aid. It gives you a certificate at the end that lasts for 3 years. It's a mental health first aid class for you to have resources that you can utilize for yourself or somebody in the community. It helps you to understand certain mental health illnesses. It gives you lots of knowledge that you can have and tools that you can have for yourself and others just to use. It's a free class for you to have. So if anybody wants the link to that, or if anybody wants to attend that in a group, please let me know. It's a free course. Trying to get 15 people together to get that course out. The last thing I'm going to say is I am putting something together, a workshop together for November 16th. November 16th. It's called Tattered and Bruised: From Surviving to Healing. These tickets are $45. If you have my healing journal, the tickets are $25. It's going to be a workshop on identifying, uncovering, cleansing, and treating your wounds, childhood trauma, grief and loss, family conflicts, soul ties, and phase of life problems. This is for male, females, and 16 and up. November 16th, from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I don't have a location yet, but this will take place. This is a workshop that I'm going to be teaching. I'm going to be utilizing my healing journal book. This will be in person. I wanted to do it. I was going to do it via Zoom, but I need this to be in person. I need to touch. I need to see people. I need to feel the energy in the room. Before 2025 comes in, God is releasing. He wants to release people from these wounds, from being tattered and from being bruised. Something is about to happen. Something is coming. God's people must be ready. We must be ready. We cannot be ready if we're bleeding and leaking on others. If those wounds are not healed, properly, forgiveness must take place. Forgiveness of yourself and forgiveness of those who hurt you must take place. Put on your calendar, November 16th. That's on a Saturday from 12 to 3. Tattered and Bruised. It's going to be a workshop. Location, I'm going to try to find a location that's somewhere in a circle that everybody can get to comfortably. Again, tickets are $45. That will include the book, the Healing Journal. If you already have the book, your ticket will be $25. My name is Kimble Evans. You have joined me for the Cottage House. I am your trap therapist. You guys be safe. Be safe. Nadia, I will send you a reminder. I'll put the web link in there to purchase the book. I'll put also I have a people of color therapist that I met when I was on my pop-up. I'll put her information in the chat. Family therapy, individual therapy, couples therapy. They do therapy. We have a lot of therapists that are people of color, men that need therapy. We have men therapists out there. In order for us to heal, we must go back and we must talk about the things that hurt us. You have to purge these things from the inside out. I love you guys. Be safe and have a good night.